Admiral Harrison stood at the main window of Earth Defense Station Alpha. He watched the stars carefully. Something felt wrong tonight. The silence in space seemed too heavy, too thick. "Sir, we have incoming signals." Lieutenant Amy Collins turned from her screen. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook slightly. "Multiple signatures, very large ones." Walked to her station. He had spent 30 years in Earth's defense force. He knew what fear looked like. He saw it now in the eyes of his crew. The screens lit up with red dots. One dot appeared, then 10, then hundreds, then thousands. "Count them," said quietly. Amy typed fast on her keyboard. Her face went pale. 12,000 ships, sir. All of them are warships. They just appeared in Earth's orbit." The bridge went silent. 12,000 warships. Earth's entire defense fleet had only 50 stations like this one. Each station held maybe 20 people and some weapons. Against 12,000 alien warships, they were nothing. A loud sound filled the bridge. Every speaker on the station turned on at once. A voice spoke in perfect English. The voice was deep and cold. "Humans of Earth, I am Fleet Commander of the Armada. We have surrounded your planet with 12,000 warships. Each ship can destroy a city with one shot. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your shields cannot stop us. You have no defense." Watch the main screen. An alien face appeared, had dark blue skin and 4 eyes. His mouth showed sharp teeth when he spoke. "You will surrender in 24 hours. Every human government will submit to rule. You will give us all your resources. You will serve the Empire. If you refuse, we will burn your planet. We will kill every human. This is your only warning." The screen went black. The bridge stayed silent for a long moment. "Sir, what do we do?" Amy asked. Looked at his crew. He saw young faces full of fear. These people had families down on Earth. They had children, parents, friends. They all wanted to protect them. "Send a message to Earth Command," said. "Tell them we received the ultimatum." Amy worked on her console. "Sir, I'm getting reports from all over Earth. Every city heard that message. People are panicking. The news stations are going crazy." Nodded. He expected that. 12,000 warships. It sounded like the end of the world. His console beeped. A message appeared. It was encrypted with the highest security code. Had only seen this code once before during a training drill. The message was simple. "Protocol is now active. Stand by." Read the message 3 times. Then he smiled. It was a small smile, barely there. "Lieutenant Collins, send a reply to the, tell them we need to speak with our world leaders. Ask for time to organize a response." Amy looked confused, but she typed the message. A minute later, his face appeared again on the screen. "You wish to discuss surrender terms?" asked. His 4 eyes looked amused. "We need time to gather our leaders," said. "Earth has many nations. We must speak together." Laughed. It was not a friendly sound. "Very well, you have your 24 hours. We will not attack until the deadline. Use this time wisely, humans. Pray to your gods. Say goodbye to your loved ones. Tomorrow, Earth belongs to the Empire." The screen went black again. Down on Earth, President Hayes sat in the Emergency Command Center. The room was deep underground. Around her sat the leaders of every major nation. Everyone looked scared. "We cannot fight them," said one leader. 12,000 ships. We have nothing that can stop them." "Maybe we should surrender," said another. "At least some of us would survive." Listen to them argue. She had been president for 6 years. She had seen wars and disasters, but this was different. This was extinction. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the message. It was from Defense Command. 3 words, "is active." Stood up, everyone stopped talking. "We will not surrender," she said firmly. "Send a message to the, tell them we need 12 more hours to prepare our response. Tell them we are gathering all our leaders for a final decision." "But Madam President," someone protested, "what can we do in 12 more hours?" Smiled. "Everything." Far from Earth, on the dark side of the moon, Dr. Price stood in a massive underground facility. The facility was so large that small vehicles drove through its corridors. It had been built over the last 150 years. Very few people knew it existed. "Sir, we got the signal," said one of his engineers. "Is active." Looked at the massive machines around him. Each one was the size of a building. They had been waiting, silent and cold, for decades. "Power them up," said. "All of them, it's time to wake up." The machines began to hum. Lights turned on one by one. The facility that had been dark for so long now glowed with blue light. Walked to a window. He could see Earth from here, a beautiful blue ball hanging in black space. Somewhere up there, 12,000 alien warships waited to destroy his home. They think we're weak, said quietly. They think we're primitives who just learned to fly in space. They have no idea. His engineer stood beside him. Sir, they scanned our planet. They found only our 50 defense stations. They think that's all we have. Smiled, good, let them think that. Let them feel confident. In 36 hours, they will learn the truth about humanity. Back on Station Alpha, Harrison watched the fleet through his sensors. The alien ships stayed in formation. They looked perfect, organized, powerful. They looked unbeatable. Amy came to stand beside him. Sir, I don't understand. What is protocol? Looked at her, she was 26 years old. She had joined the Defense Force right out of college. She was smart and brave. She deserved to know the truth. Amy, can you keep a secret? Asked. Of course, sir. Earth is not defenseless. We never were. Everything the sea is fake. Those 50 defense stations, they're decoys, holograms. The real defense network is hidden. Amy's eyes went wide. Hidden where? Looked back at Earth. Everywhere. We've been preparing for this day for over 100 years. Our grandparents started building. Our parents continued. And now it's our turn to finish it. But why hide it? Why not show our strength? Because the best weapon is surprise, said. They came here thinking we're easy prey. They brought 12,000 ships because they wanted to scare us. They wanted us to surrender without a fight, but they made a mistake. What mistake? President Hayes stood before the cameras. Behind her was the flag of Earth Unity, showing all the nations together as one. She looked calm, but inside her heart was racing. Every human on Earth was watching this broadcast, and so were the... Commander began. We have discussed your ultimatum. We request an additional 12 hours to finalize our decision. We need time to gather all our world leaders in one place. Surely you can grant us this small courtesy before such a historic moment. On his flagship watched the human president. She looked small and weak on his screen. Her voice was steady, but he could sense the fear underneath. Good. Let the humans be afraid. 12 more hours. Leaned back in his command chair. His officers waited for his response. Very well, President Hayes, you have 12 more hours, but know this. If you refuse to surrender, your cities will burn, your oceans will boil. Earth will become a dead rock floating in space. Use your time wisely. The transmission ended, turned to his tactical officer. What is the status of our fleet? All ships are in position, Commander. We have complete orbital coverage. Nothing can leave Earth without us knowing. Their defense stations are quiet. No weapons charging, no shields raising. They know they cannot fight us. Nodded, good, keep scanning. I want to know if they try anything, but I doubt they will. Humans are emotional creatures. They love their families. They will surrender to save them. What did not know was that Earth's real defense network was already moving, and he could not see it. Harrison walked through Station Alpha. His crew watched him carefully. They wanted to ask questions. They wanted to understand what was happening, but military discipline kept them quiet. Lieutenant Collins said, "Come with me, we need to talk privately." Amy followed him to a small briefing room. Once inside, locked the door and activated a signal jammer. Whatever they said in this room would stay secret. Sir, what's really going on? Amy asked. Pulled up a star map on the wall screen. It showed Earth and the surrounding space. Red dots marked the warships. What you're about to learn is classified above top secret, said. Only a few thousand people know the full truth, but you need to know because you'll play a key role in what comes next. He changed the star map. New dots appeared, blue dots, thousands of them. They surrounded Earth in layers. They filled the asteroid belt. They orbited Mars and Venus. They hid in the shadows of Jupiter's moons. These are our real defenses, said. 8,000 automated weapon platforms, 3,000 attack drones on Mars, 400 gravity well generators on the moon, and this. He pointed to the moon. The moon isn't just a moon anymore. We've been hollowing it out for 150 years. It's now the largest weapons platform in human history. Amy stared at the screen, her mouth hung open. But how? How did we keep this secret? Because we had to, said. 50 years ago we detected signals from deep space. We knew intelligent life existed. We knew they might find us someday, so we prepared. Every nation on Earth worked together. We built in secret. We built slowly. We built carefully. And the don't know. They scanned Earth. They found our 50 defense stations. They think that's everything. They have no idea that those stations are just holograms, fake images. The real stations are hidden using technology they can't detect. Amy sat down slowly. So we're going to fight them. We're going to destroy them, corrected. Every single ship. We gave them a chance to leave peacefully. They chose war instead. Now they'll learn why you don't threaten Earth. 20 years ago had been a young officer on a small research vessel. He was married then. He had a wife and a daughter. They lived in New Seattle, a beautiful city by the ocean. Then the raiders came, a small group of alien pirates. They attacked the city. They killed thousands before Earth's forces destroyed them. His wife and daughter died in that attack. After that day, dedicated his life to protecting Earth. He trained harder than anyone. He studied every battle tactic. He rose through the ranks, and when protocol was created, he was chosen to help lead it. Now, watching the fleet on his screens, felt cold anger. These aliens wanted to do to Earth what the raiders had done to New Seattle, but this time, Earth was ready. Amy, I need you to coordinate communications between all our hidden bases. When the fighting starts, everything must work perfectly. Can you do that? Amy stood up straight. Yes, sir, I won't let you down. On Mars, 3,000 drones sat in massive underground hangars. They had been built to look like geological survey equipment. For decades, scientists had been mapping Mars, or so everyone thought. In reality, they had been building an army. Each drone was small and fast. They carried kinetic weapons, simple rail guns that fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Nothing fancy, nothing high-tech, just simple physics. Mass times velocity equals destruction. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons. Lasers, plasma, particle beams. Their shields could handle all of that. But a solid chunk of metal traveling at 10,000 meters per second. That was something else. The drones began to wake up. Their power cores activated, their weapons loaded. They waited for the signal to launch. Dr. Price stood in the lunar facility's control room. Around him, dozens of technicians worked at their stations. They had trained for this moment their entire careers. Some of them had parents and grandparents who had worked on this facility. It was a family mission passed down through generations. Sir, all gravity well generators are online, reported one technician. We can activate them on your command. Weapon platforms. 8,000 platforms report ready, all systems green. Mars drones. 3,000 drones ready to launch. Took a deep breath. The facility hummed with power. Machines that had slept for decades now roared with life. He thought about all the people who had built this place. Engineers who had died without seeing their work complete. Scientists who had sacrificed their entire lives for this project. All of them believed in one thing: Earth must survive. Open a secure channel to President Hayes, said. A moment later, the president's face appeared on his screen. Dr. Price, what's your status? Asked. Everything is ready, Madam President. We're just waiting for your order. Looked tired. She had been awake for 30 hours straight, but her eyes were clear and determined. They agreed to give us 12 more hours. They think we're preparing to surrender. Instead, we're preparing to show them what happens when you threaten humanity. What about civilian casualties? Asked. All major cities have been quietly evacuating people to underground shelters. We told them it was an emergency drill. Most people went without question. Those who are still on the surface know the risks. Nodded, then we're as ready as we'll ever be. Good, when the deadline comes, I'll give the final broadcast. After that, protocol goes full active. May God help us all. The transmission ended. Looked at his team. They were all young, smart, and dedicated. They deserved to know what they were about to do. Listen carefully, said. In a few hours, we will begin the largest military operation in human history. We will destroy 12,000 alien warships. Some of you might think that makes us monsters. Some of you might wonder if we're doing the right thing. He paused, looking at each face. Let me be clear, they came to conquer us. They came to enslave us. They gave us an ultimatum, serve or die. We did not start this war, but we will finish it. And when we're done, every species in the galaxy will know one simple truth. Earth is not a target, Earth is not prey, Earth is home, and we will defend our home with everything we have. The technicians nodded. Some of them looked scared, but they all looked determined. Back on Station Alpha received a priority message. It was from Earth Command. The message was simple: 36 hours since ultimatum, 0 hour approaching, stand ready. Turned to his crew. All hands battle stations. This is not a drill. In a few hours we will engage the enemy. Remember your training, trust your equipment, and trust each other. Today we defend Earth. Today we show the galaxy what humanity can do. The crew rushed to their positions. Alarms began to sound, not warning alarms, preparation alarms. The station came alive with activity. Amy sat at her communications station. She pulled up the secure network. Hundreds of channels opened, each one connected to a hidden base or weapon platform. She tested each connection. Every single one responded, ready. Outside the station, the fleet waited. 12,000 warships floating in perfect formation. They looked beautiful in a terrible way. So much power, so much destruction. All of it aimed at one small blue planet. But what they could not see was the trap closing around them. What they thought was empty space was actually full of weapons. What they thought was victory was actually their doom. The countdown continued. Time was running out, and when it reached 0, they would learn a hard lesson. Never threaten humanity's home. The deadline arrived. Exactly 36 hours after the ultimatum, President Hayes appeared on every screen across Earth. She stood alone against a simple background. No flags, no symbols, just her and her words. Commander watched from his flagship. His officers gathered around. They expected to hear surrender. They expected begging and tears. They were wrong. Commander began. Her voice was calm and cold. You came to Earth with 12,000 warships. You threatened our cities. You threatened our children. You gave us an ultimatum: surrender or die. Leaned forward. Something in her tone made him uneasy. You made 3 mistakes, continued. First, you assumed we were weak. Second, you assumed we were unprepared. Third, you gave us 36 hours to get ready. That was all the time we needed. She paused. Her next words were quiet, but they carried across space like thunder. You should have done your homework. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator showing teeth. Protocol is now active. Goodbye, Commander. The transmission ended. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The fleet floated in orbit. The universe was silent. Then everything changed. The 50 Earth defense stations that they had been watching suddenly disappeared. They vanished like smoke, because they were smoke. They were holograms, fake images. They had never been real. What jumped from his chair? Where did they go? Scan again. His sensor officer worked frantically. Sir, they're gone. They just vanished. They were never there. They were holographic decoys. Then where are the real defenses? Demanded. The answer came 1 second later. Space around the fleet exploded with light. 8,000 weapon platforms appeared. They had been hiding using stealth technology. Now they activated all at once. Now they opened fire. The platforms were not fancy. They did not have energy shields or particle beams. They had rail guns, simple weapons that fired chunks of metal at extreme speeds. The shields could stop energy weapons easily, but solid metal moving at 10,000 meters per second was different. The first wave of fire hit 300 ships. Metal slugs punched through shields like they were paper. They tore through hulls. They ripped apart engines. In 5 seconds, 300 warships became floating debris. Return fire, screamed. Destroy those platforms. The fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced out in every direction. They hit the weapon platforms. They destroyed dozens of them. But for every platform that died, 10 more fired. The rail guns never stopped. They fired again and again and again. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the moon, the sensor officer yelled. On the moon's dark side, the surface split open. Massive doors that had been hidden for 150 years finally opened. Inside, the lunar facility activated its main weapons. Dr. Price stood in the control room. Fire gravity well generators. Target the enemy flagship and all ships within 5,000 kilometers. The generators activated. They created artificial gravity fields around the ships. Suddenly, 2,000 enemy warships found themselves trapped. They could not move. They could not turn. They were frozen in space like insects in amber. Launch missiles, ordered. Hit them while they're stuck. Thousands of missiles launched from the lunar facility. They were not fancy missiles. They were old-fashioned rockets with explosive warheads. But when a ship cannot move, even old weapons work perfectly. The missiles hit the trapped ships. Explosions bloomed across space. 2,000 warships died in under 3 minutes. Watched his fleet die? His 4 eyes were wide with shock and horror. This was impossible. The humans were primitives. They had just achieved space flight 200 years ago. How could they have this much firepower? How could they have hidden it? "Sir, we're detecting launches from Mars," another officer reported. From Mars, 3,000 drones burst out of their underground hangars. They were small and fast. They accelerated quickly, heading straight for the fleet. Each drone carried only one weapon, a rail gun loaded with a single metal slug. But 3,000 drones meant 3,000 shots. The drones moved in perfect coordination. They spread out in space. They found targeting solutions. Then they fired. 3,000 metal slugs hit 3,000 ships. The drones had aimed for engines and weapon systems. They did not try to destroy the ships completely. They just crippled them, made them helpless. Then the drones turned around and went back to Mars. They would reload and come back for another run. Harrison watched from Station Alpha. He watched the fleet break apart. He watched ships explode and drift. He felt nothing, no joy, no satisfaction, just cold duty. "Sir, the enemy is trying to retreat," Amy reported. "They're attempting to break orbit and head for outer space." "Don't let them," said quietly. "Activate the gravity anchors." Around Earth's orbit, hidden satellites activated. Each satellite projected a gravity field. Together, they created a barrier. Any ship that tried to jump to faster-than-light speed would be caught. The gravity fields would tear them apart. 50 ships tried to jump. They activated their FTL drives, but the gravity anchors caught them. The ships were ripped apart by conflicting forces. They became scattered atoms in seconds. "Sir, the enemy flagship is hailing us," Amy said. Nodded, "Put it through." His face appeared on the screen. His blue skin had gone pale. His 4 eyes showed pure terror. "Stop," begged. "Please stop. We surrender, we surrender." Looked at him without emotion. "You gave us 36 hours. You said surrender or die. You said you would burn our planet. You said you would kill every human. Did you think we would forget those words?" "Please," whispered. "We made a mistake. We were wrong about you. Just let us go. Let us leave. We will never return." Thought about his wife and daughter. He thought about New Seattle burning. He thought about all the humans who had lived in fear of aliens. All the people who had died to build Earth's defenses. "No," said simply. "You came to our home, you threatened our children, there are consequences for that." He cut the transmission. All platforms continue firing. Mars drones prepare for second run. Lunar facility charge the main cannon. On the moon heard the order. The main cannon was the facility's greatest weapon. It had been built over 50 years. It consumed incredible amounts of power. It could only fire once before needing to recharge for days. But it could destroy anything. "Main cannon charging," announced. "Target enemy flagship firing in 60 seconds." The cannon drew power from the facility's core. Lights dimmed. Machines stopped. Everything fed the weapon. The barrel was 3 kilometers long. It ran through the entire lunar facility. Felt his ship shake. His sensors screamed warnings. Something on the moon was building up massive energy. Something that could kill him and everyone on his ship. "Full power to engines," ordered. "Emergency jump, get us out of here." But the gravity wells held his ship in place. He could not move. He could only watch as death came for him. 10 seconds counted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. The main cannon fired. A beam of pure energy shot from the moon. It crossed the distance to his flagship in less than a second. The beam hit the ship dead center. For a moment, the flagship glowed like a star. Then it vanished, completely. There was no debris, no wreckage. The ship simply ceased to exist. The rest of the fleet panicked. They tried to scatter. They tried to run. But everywhere they went, human weapons waited for them. The weapon platforms kept firing. The Mars drones made their second run. More missiles launched from the moon. Earth's hidden defenses worked together like parts of a machine. Every ship knew its job. Every weapon knew its target. "Sir, enemy fleet strength is down to 6,000 ships," Amy reported. "They're trying to form a defensive formation near Jupiter." Nodded, "Send a message to all units. The enemy is retreating to Jupiter. Follow them. Do not let them escape. Do not let them rest. Hunt them down." The human fleet moved. Not ships with human crews. Automated systems. Machines that did not need sleep. Machines that did not feel fear, machines that would never stop until their mission was complete. President Hayes watched the battle from her command center. Around her, world leaders sat in stunned silence. They had known about protocol, they had approved it, but seeing it in action was different. Seeing 12,000 enemy ships being destroyed was overwhelming. "Madam President," one leader said quietly, "should we offer them mercy? Should we let them surrender?" Remembered the ultimatum, surrender or die. They had offered no mercy to Earth. They had planned to enslave or kill every human. "No mercy," said firmly. "They came to kill us. They came to destroy our home. We will show them what happens when you threaten humanity. Every species in the galaxy will learn from this. Earth is not prey. Earth is the predator they never saw coming." In space, the battle continued. The fleet ran toward Jupiter. They hoped to hide in the gas giant's massive storms. They hoped to regroup and fight back. But they did not know what waited for them at Jupiter. They did not know that humanity had been preparing this trap for 100 years. Hidden in Jupiter's moons were more weapons, more platforms, more drones. They were not running to safety. They were running toward their doom. Harrison watched his screens. He watched the enemy fleet flee. He watched human weapons chase them. And he remembered his wife's smile, his daughter's laugh, both stolen by aliens who thought humans were weak. Lieutenant Collins said, "Send a message to all units. When we reach Jupiter, I want every weapon we have focused on that enemy fleet. I want overwhelming force. I want them to know they cannot win. I want them to know they cannot escape." Amy nodded and sent the message. The fleet reached Jupiter after 8 hours of running. 6,000 ships remained from the original 12,000. They formed a defensive sphere near the gas giant's upper atmosphere. They activated every shield. They powered every weapon. They prepared for the human attack. Commander was dead. His flagship was gone. Now Subcommander led what remained of the fleet. He stood on his bridge looking at the tactical display. Red dots showed human weapons following them. Blue dots showed the formation. "We make our stand here," announced. "Jupiter's radiation will interfere with their sensors. The magnetic fields will protect us. We will survive this and return home with a warning about these humans." His crew wanted to believe him. They wanted to think they could win, but they had already lost half their fleet. They had already seen what human weapons could do. "Sir, detecting multiple contacts," the sensor officer said. "They're coming from all around Jupiter, from the moons, from the asteroid belt. Sir, they were waiting for us." Felt ice in his blood. A trap. This entire retreat was a trap. The humans had known exactly where they would go. From Jupiter's 4 largest moons, weapon platforms emerged. These platforms were older than the ones near Earth. They had been placed here 70 years ago by human engineers who were long dead, but they still worked perfectly. From Europa, 20 platforms activated. From Ganymede, 30 more. From Callisto and Io, another 50 combined. They surrounded the fleet from every angle. "Open fire on those platforms," ordered. "Destroy them before they shoot." The fleet fired. Energy beams crossed space. They hit the platforms. They destroyed some of them, but the platforms fired back. These rail guns were different from the ones near Earth. They were larger, more powerful. They fired slugs the size of cars. When these slugs hit ships, they did not just punch through hulls. They split the ships in half. 50 warships died in the first minute. 100 more were crippled. The formation broke apart as ships tried to scatter. "They're hurting us," realized with horror. "This is not a battle. This is a hunt. They're hurting us like animals." He was right. The human weapons did not attack randomly. They fired in patterns. They pushed the fleet away from Jupiter. They forced the ships into space. Harrison coordinated the attack from millions of kilometers away. His console showed the entire battlefield. He moved units like a chess master. Every move had a purpose. Every shot pushed the enemy exactly where he wanted them. "Amy status report," said calmly. "Enemy fleet down to 5,000 ships. They're trying to break through our line near Ganymede. Mars drones are intercepting. Lunar facility reports main cannon will be ready to fire again in 6 hours." "Good, keep the pressure on. Don't give them time to think. Don't give them time to regroup." Dr. Price watched from the lunar facility. His team had been working for 9 hours straight. They were tired, but they were winning. Earth was winning. "Sir, we're detecting a strange energy signature from the enemy fleet," one technician reported. "They're charging some kind of weapon. It's big, really big." pulled up the data, his eyes widened. It's a planet killer they're going to fire at Earth. He grabbed his communication device. They are charging a weapon that can destroy planets. If they fire it, Earth dies. Did not panic, he had planned for this. How long until they can fire? 10 minutes, said. More than enough time. Amy launched the asteroids. 3 years ago, human engineers had taken 30 large asteroids from the belt. They had attached engines to them. They had aimed them carefully. Then they had set them drifting through space, waiting for this exact moment. Now those asteroids activated. Their engines fired. They accelerated toward the fleet. Each asteroid was 2 kilometers wide. Each one weighed billions of tons, and they were all moving fast. "Sir, detecting massive objects incoming," the sensor officer yelled. "Multiple asteroids, they're aimed right at us." Stared at the display. The asteroids were too big to shoot down completely. The fleet could break them into pieces, but the pieces would still hit. And at this speed, even small pieces were deadly. "Abort the planet killer. Full power to shields. Brace for impact." The asteroids hit the formation like hammers. The first asteroid struck 50 ships and turned them to powder. The second asteroid hit a densely packed group and destroyed 80 more ships. The third, fourth, and fifth asteroids plowed through the fleet like bullets through paper. When the impacts ended, the fleet had lost another 1,000 ships. 4,000 remained, and they were scattered, disorganized, terrified. "Sir, they're trying to surrender again," Amy reported. Shook his head. "No, we gave them a chance to leave peacefully before they fired the first shot. They chose war, now they live with the consequences." On Earth, some people watched the battle on live feeds. They saw the asteroids hit. They saw alien ships explode. Some people cheered, others felt sick. Destroying an enemy fleet was necessary, but it was not something to celebrate. President Hayes addressed the world again. Her face was tired but determined. "I know many of you are watching this battle. I know some of you wonder if we're doing the right thing. Let me be clear. They came to conquer us. They came to enslave our children. They came to burn our cities. We did not start this war, but we will end it. And when we're done, every species in the galaxy will know. Leave Earth alone." In the fleet made a desperate decision. Send a distress signal to the Empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them humans are not primitives. Tell them to prepare a bigger fleet. "Sir, the humans will intercept that signal." "I know, let them hear it. Maybe it will make them stop. Maybe they will show mercy if they know a bigger fleet is coming." The message was sent. It traveled across space at light speed. It would take months to reach the home world, but it was sent. Intercepted the message immediately. He listened to it. He heard begging for help. He heard the warning about humans. He smiled coldly. "They're calling for reinforcements," told his crew. "They think if a bigger fleet comes, we'll be scared. They still don't understand." "What don't they understand, sir?" Amy asked. "That we've been ready for this for 150 years. That we built enough weapons to fight 1,000 fleets. That Earth is not just defended. Earth is a fortress, and fortresses don't surrender." He opened a channel to all human units. "All ships, all platforms, all drones. The enemy has called for help. That means they still think they can win. Show them they're wrong. Increase attack rate by 50%. I want this fleet destroyed before reinforcements can even think about coming." The human weapons responded. The attack intensified. Rail guns fired faster. Missiles launched in greater numbers. The Mars drones made their third run, then their fourth, then their fifth. They never stopped. They never tired. They were machines built for one purpose: destroy Earth's enemies. The fleet fought back desperately. They destroyed many human weapons. They took down hundreds of platforms. They shot down thousands of drones. But for every human weapon destroyed, 2 more appeared. The humans had backup systems. They had redundancies. They had planned for losses. They had not planned for any of this. They had expected an easy victory. They had expected surrender. Now they were dying. Watched his fleet shrink. 4,000 ships became 3,000, then 2,000, then 1,000. His officers looked at him with hopeless eyes. "Sub-Commander," his tactical officer said quietly, "we need to run. We need to try to escape. Some of us might make it back to warn the Empire." Knew the officer was right. Staying here meant death, but running also meant death. The humans had gravity wells preventing faster-than-light jumps. They had weapons covering every escape route. "Very well," said. "All ships scatter. Each ship picks its own direction and runs. Maybe some of us will find a gap in their defenses. Maybe some of us will survive. The remaining 1,000 ships broke formation. They fled in every direction. Some headed toward Jupiter. Some ran back toward Earth. Some tried to reach the outer solar system. Each one hoped to find a way out. Each one hoped to escape. Watch them scatter. They're running. Good. Amy, activate Phase 3 of Protocol. Phase 3 was the endgame. It was the final trap. It was the moment humanity showed its true strength. From the outer solar system, from beyond Neptune and Pluto, more human weapons appeared. These were not platforms or drones. These were full warships, real military vessels with crews. They had been hiding out here for months, waiting for this exact moment. There were 200 human warships. Each one was smaller than a ship. Each one had a crew of only 50 people. But each one was packed with weapons and armor. And most importantly, each crew had been training their entire lives for this battle. The human warships moved to intercept the fleeing ships. They did not try to destroy all of them. That would take too long. Instead, they herded them. They pushed them. They forced them into killing zones where weapon platforms waited. It was like watching wolves hunt sheep. The human ships moved with perfect coordination. They communicated without speaking. Years of training made them act as one unit. They knew each other's moves before they happened. The ships had better shields. They had better engines. Ship for ship, they were superior. But the human crews were better. They knew their ships completely. They knew every trick and tactic, and they fought with the desperation of people protecting their home. One by one, the fleeing ships were caught. One by one, they were destroyed. The human warships did not gloat. They did not celebrate. They simply did their job with cold efficiency. Ship was one of the last to be caught. 3 human warships surrounded him. They did not fire immediately. They waited. A communication came through. It was Harrison. Subcommander said, "Your fleet is destroyed. Your ships are gone. You have one chance. Surrender now and you live. Try to fight and you die. Choose." Looked at his crew. They were exhausted, terrified, beaten. They had fought well, but they had lost. There was no shame in admitting it now. The battle was over. 12,000 warships had entered Earth's orbit 43 hours ago. Now only 73 remained, and those 73 had surrendered. Harrison stood on the bridge of the human warship Liberty. He had transferred from Station Alpha to personally oversee the final phase of the operation. Around him, his crew worked quietly. They secured the captured ships. They collected data from their computers. They prepared the prisoners for transport. "Sir, all enemy vessels are secured," Amy reported. She had come with to the Liberty. "We have 2,300 survivors. Most of them are injured but stable." Nodded. 2,000 survivors from a fleet of hundreds of thousands. They had come to conquer Earth. Instead, they had been almost completely destroyed. "Treat their wounded," ordered. "Give them food and water. They are prisoners now, not enemies." Some of his crew looked surprised. After everything they had done was showing them mercy. Saw their looks. "We are not monsters. We killed them because we had to, because they threatened our home. But now they have surrendered. Now we show them that humans know the difference between war and cruelty." On Earth, celebrations had begun. People poured into the streets. They hugged strangers. They cried with relief. Earth had survived. Humanity had won. But in the government command centers, the work continued. President Hayes met with her advisors. They discussed what to do next. "We need to send a message," said. "A clear message that reaches every species in the galaxy. Earth is not a target. Anyone who threatens us will face the same fate as the—" "How do we send that message?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "We let one of them go home," said. "We give them a recording. We show them exactly what happened here, and we let them share it with their empire." The advisors looked at each other. It was a bold plan, but it might work. If one species spread the word about Earth's strength, others would hesitate to attack. Brought Subcommander to a meeting room on the Liberty. The officer looked defeated. His blue skin was pale. His 4 eyes showed exhaustion and shame. "Why did you spare me?" asked. "Why not kill all of us?" Sat across from him. "Because I am not you. When you came to Earth, you planned to kill everyone. Men, women, children, everyone. You were going to burn our planet. I could do the same to you, but I won't, because that is not who we are." "Then what will you do with us?" "Most of your people will remain as prisoners. We will treat them well. We will feed them. We will care for their injuries. And eventually, when the war is truly over, we will let them go home." And me asked, "You are different. You will go home now. You will carry a message from Earth to your empire." Placed a data chip on the table between them. This contains a recording of everything that happened, every battle, every ship destroyed, everything. You will take this to your leaders. You will show them what happens when someone threatens Earth. Picked up the chip with a shaking hand. You want me to tell them they lost? I want you to tell them the truth, that humanity is not weak, that Earth is not defenseless, that we have been preparing for this day for 150 years, and that if they come again they will need more than 12,000 ships. They will need 1,000,000, and even then they will lose. Looked at the chip, then he looked at. You are making a mistake. When my empire sees this, they will send a bigger fleet. They will come with overwhelming force. You are inviting your own destruction. Smiled slightly. Let them come, we will be ready. We are always ready. 2 days later departed Earth in a small vessel. It was damaged but functional. He had food, water, and medical supplies, and he had the data chip. Before he left, President Hayes recorded a final message. She stood in the Oval Office looking directly at the camera. Her words were clear and firm. To the Empire and all species who may hear this message, I am President Hayes of Earth. Your fleet came to my world with an ultimatum. Surrender or die. You brought 12,000 warships. You threatened to burn our cities. You threatened to kill our children. She paused, letting the words sink in. You lost. Of your 12,000 ships, only 73 survived. The rest were destroyed by Earth's defense systems. Systems we have been building for over a century. Systems you never detected. Systems you never imagined we possessed. She leaned forward slightly. Let me be perfectly clear. We are not conquerors. We do not want your territory. We do not want your resources. We simply want to be left alone. But if you threaten us again, if you come for Earth with hostile intent, you will face the same fate. We will destroy you. Another pause. Earth is not just a planet. It is our home. It is where humanity was born. It is where we grew up. It is where our children play and our elderly rest. And we will defend it with everything we have, with every weapon, with every soldier, with every last breath. Her voice became softer but no less intense. We did not start this war, but we finished it. We gave you a chance to leave peacefully. You chose violence instead. Remember that when you think about returning. Remember the 12,000 ships that came to Earth and never left. She stood straight, her final words delivered with absolute conviction. Share this message with every species in your empire. Share it with your allies. Share it with your enemies. Let everyone know Earth stands ready. Earth will always stand ready. Leave us in peace and we will leave you in peace. Come for us and none of you will survive. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The recording ended. Watched it 3 times during his journey home. Each time he felt a mixture of shame, fear, and strange respect. The humans had defeated his fleet completely, but they had not killed unnecessarily. They had not tortured prisoners. They had not acted like monsters. They had simply defended their home with overwhelming force. 6 months later, the message reached the home world. The government received its report. They watched the recording. They saw their fleet destroyed. They saw human weapons they had never imagined existed. The empire fell into chaos. Military leaders were blamed for the failure. Politicians argued about what to do next. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted to forget Earth existed. But word spread beyond the empire. Other species heard about what happened at Earth. They heard about the 12,000 warships that went to conquer a primitive world. They heard about the 73 ships that returned. And they made notes in their star charts. Earth, the planet defended by weapons hidden throughout an entire solar system. The planet where primitive-looking humans had destroyed an empire's fleet. The planet to avoid. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. The celebrations ended. People went back to work. Children went back to school. But everyone knew something had changed. The secret was out. Earth was not defenseless. Earth was a fortress. Dr. Price stood in the lunar facility with his team. They were already working on improvements. New weapons, better systems, stronger defenses. Do you think they'll come back? One engineer asked. Looked at the star field through the observation window. Maybe, probably. The galaxy is full of species who think they're stronger than everyone else. Someone will eventually decide to test us again. And what will we do? What we always do, we'll be ready, we'll prepare, we'll build. And when they come, we'll show them the same thing we showed the Earth is home, and home is worth defending. Harrison retired from active duty. He had done his job. He had protected Earth. Now it was time for younger officers to take over. He moved to a small house near the ocean, the same ocean where New Seattle had once stood, where his wife and daughter had died. He visited their graves often. He told them about the battle, about how Earth had won, about how their deaths had not been in vain. Amy Collins was promoted to commander. She took over operations at Station Alpha. She continued work. She trained new officers. She improved the defense systems. She made sure Earth would always be ready. President Hayes served out her term. She did not run for re-election. She had done what she needed to do. She had protected Earth during its darkest hour. That was enough. Before she left office, she established the Protocol Memorial. It honored everyone who had built Earth's defenses, the engineers who had worked in secret for generations, the scientists who had developed new weapons, the soldiers who had trained for a war they hoped would never come. All of them were heroes. All of them had protected Earth, and their names would be remembered forever. 1 year after the battle, Earth held a remembrance ceremony. People from every nation gathered together. They lit candles for the few humans who had died in the fighting. They honored the soldiers who had served. They thanked the engineers and scientists who had built the defenses. And they looked up at the stars with new understanding. The universe was dangerous. Aliens existed. Some of them were hostile, but Earth was ready. Earth would always be ready. In the asteroid belt, weapon platforms continued their silent watch. On Mars, drones waited in their hangars. On the Moon, the massive facility hummed with power. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases remained on alert. Earth had won its first major war, but the defense never ended. The watch never stopped. Because somewhere out there in the galaxy, someone else might be planning to test humanity. Someone else might think Earth was weak. Someone else might make the same mistake they had made. And when that day came, Earth would be ready. The weapons would activate, the defenses would engage, and another fleet would learn the hard truth. Never threaten humanity's home, because home is where humans are strongest. Home is where they will fight hardest. Home is where they will never surrender. Home is where they will always win. The stars were beautiful tonight. They shined with distant light. They promised adventure and discovery, but they also promised danger. Earth watched the stars, and the stars slowly began to learn to respect Earth. The message had been sent. The lesson had been taught. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the species you left alone, unless you wanted to join the fleet in defeat. 12,000 warships had come to Earth. 73 had survived, and the galaxy would never forget. "We surrender," said quietly. "I surrender." The hunt had begun, and humanity would not stop until every ship was destroyed. Smile grew wider. They gave us 24 hours, that's all we needed. Far out in the asteroid belt, silent machines began to move. They had been waiting there for decades, disguised as rocks and ice. Now they turned toward Earth. Now they prepared for war. The countdown had begun. 24 hours until the deadline. 24 hours until they would learn the truth. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the trap, and the trap was about to close.